Before we begin, take a breath. This story isn't just words. It's a mirror, and if you're here right now, maybe it's because you're searching for something. Hope, strength, purpose. Make sure you subscribe to The Moment. You Rise Official, because here, we don't escape reality. We face it. We rise from it. Now, let me tell you a story. A story about a man who lost everything and found himself. He used to be full of fire once. Dreams so big they kept him awake at night. A heart that believed he could move mountains. But life doesn't ask if you're ready before it tests you. One by one, the things he loved started slipping away. His job, his friends, his peace. The world grew quiet, and the silence got heavy. He tried to hold on, but everything felt like sand slipping through his fingers. People told him, stay strong, keep going. But no one saw how tired he really was. No one saw the wall behind his smile. And then came the breaking point. That one night where he stared at the ceiling and whispered to himself, what's the point anymore? There's a kind of silence that isn't peaceful. It's the silence after the storm, where the world looks fine, but inside, you're still in pieces. Days turn into weeks. He stopped showing up for himself. He avoided mirrors because the reflection felt like a stranger. He started believing maybe this was it. Maybe his story was meant to end here. But destiny had other plans. Because sometimes, when life buries you in darkness, it's not to end you. It's to plant you. One night, while walking under a broken streetlight, he saw his shadow moving beside him. For the first time, he didn't feel alone. He felt watched, not by the world, but by the man he used to be. That old version of himself, the one who believed in impossible things, the one who used to say one more try, was still there, waiting. And in that silence, he heard it a whisper, get up. He froze. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. Just a soft voice inside that said again, get up. He didn't have a plan. He didn't have strength, but he had one thing left. A choice. 𝗚𝗚𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗚𝗢𝗕𝗕𝗢𝗢. And for the first time in months, he looked at himself in the mirror. Tired eyes. An unshaven face. But behind that exhaustion was a spark. Tiny. Almost invisible, but real. And that's where every comeback begins, with one small spark. He whispered back to the mirror, I'm not done yet. The next morning, he woke up early. No motivation videos. No 𝗚𝗚𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗚𝗢𝗙. Just the decision to move. One step. Then another. Then another. He began rebuilding. Not his career, not his image, but his soul. He trained when he didn't want to. He learned in silence. He worked when no one noticed. And every day, he whispered to himself, keep going. Days turned into months. The pain didn't vanish. But he changed his relationship with it. Pain stopped being the enemy and became the teacher. Because pain is honest. Pain tells you exactly who you are. And through that pain, he found power. He began to remember who he was. Not the broken man the world saw, but the warrior buried underneath. He realized the world will doubt you until you stop doubting yourself. People will leave. Support will fade. But if you keep walking, eventually the storm runs out of rain. He found his rhythm again. He found discipline. He stopped chasing approval. He stopped needing to be understood. Because once you've been through hell, you stop asking for comfort. You start demanding purpose. He returned to the battlefield of life. But this time, he was different. He no longer fought for validation. He fought for meaning. When obstacles came, he smiled. When failures hit, he said, good. More training. Because he learned the enemy isn't outside. 𝗚𝗚𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗚𝗢𝗙. It's the voice that says you can't. And once you silence that voice, nothing can stop you again. He started winning small battles, waking up earlier, staying focused, mastering his craft. And slowly, the man the world forgot became the man the world couldn't ignore. Then one morning, He stood at the top of a hill, watching the sunrise, and it hit him. He didn't need saving. He never did. He was the savior he'd been waiting for. He was the warrior he kept praying for. Every failure, every heartbreak, every sleepless night had prepared him for this moment. He whispered again, "Thank you." Not to the world, but to the pain. Because it was the pain that built him. Now listen, you may not be him, but you are fighting your own battles. Maybe no one sees what you're going through. Maybe you're tired of pretending you're fine. But let me tell you something. The fact that you're still trying, still searching for light, means you're stronger than you think. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need validation to start again. You just need to decide. No one is coming to save you because you were never meant to be saved. You were meant to rise. Years later, people looked at him and said, "You're so strong. You're lucky." But luck had nothing to do with it. He wasn't chosen. He chose himself. He chose to stand when everything pushed him down. He chose to fight when it hurt. He chose to believe when no one else did. And that choice, that decision to rise, became his legacy. Now it's your turn. Your pain is your story. Your scars are proof that you survived. And your fire is waiting for you to ignite it again. So, stand up, breathe deep, and say it with me. And I'm not done yet. I will rise. This is my time. If this story spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Because someone out there needs this reminder that even in darkness, the fire still burns. Subscribe to the Moment You Rise official, where stories like this remind you who you are and who you're meant to become. Because remember, the world doesn't need another perfect hero. It needs a real one, and that's you.